Nicole. Today I'm bringing you my January wrap-up. It's been a little while since I filmed a wrap-up. I think since October of last year, which really sucks because I had some really great reading months, November and December. Should have told you guys all about it. But starting this new year off, I had a great January reading month. It was fantastic. I read 7 physical books, listened to 1 audiobook, and read 1 fan fiction. I recently did a poll on Twitter, and by recently I mean an hour ago. I asked everyone if I should include fan fiction in my monthly wrap-ups, and the last I checked there were 4 votes and they all said yes, so I'm including my fan fiction that I read in the month of January as well. So, without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'm bringing these books to you in the order I finished them. First book I finished in the month of January and in the new year, Year 1 by Rob Reed. I was very excited to read this book. One of my friends in my In Real Life book club got this book for me, I believe at San Diego Comic-Con. The author signed it and everything, and we also read it for my In Real Life book club. It was our first read of the year, and I didn't know really anything about it. I didn't even read the back before I started reading this book, but I was not very impressed. I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars, I believe. 2 being very generous. I'm probably going to change it to 1 star now that I'm thinking about it. This is literally about an alien race who loves Earth's music so much that they have been illegally downloading all of our music for like ever. And then they find out that illegally downloading music is illegal. So they come to Earth and talk to our main character, our protagonist, Nick Carter, who is an entertainment lawyer. And they explain the situation to them. They didn't know it was illegal, but they have downloaded so much music, and literally every single alien out there has downloaded all of this music. And if they were to collect on all the fines for illegally downloading the music, it would literally bankrupt their economy. Even though no one knew about it, they're the ones that came to Earth and told this lawyer that they were illegally downloading music. That's literally what the whole book is about. This book tried to be really funny, but fell very flat. I didn't care about the plot. I didn't care about the characters. Honestly, I rolled my eyes through most of this book. Thought about DNFing it about a dozen times, and I'm surprised that I didn't. Yeah, 2 out of 5 stars, probably gonna change it to 1. Off to a great start. Next book I read is The Zookeeper's Wife by Diane Ackerman. I started reading this for my A to Z 2018 TBR. This is me trying to get through the books that I already own. And I categorize my books alphabetically by author. So A to Z, Diane Ackerman is the first one. And I watched the movie. I loved the movie. It was gorgeous. Jessica Chastain is fantastic in this movie. So I thought I would love the book. I did not. I did not like this book. I did not know that it was characterized as nonfiction. I do now, and I didn't like it. This book came across as someone who read the main character's diary and then was trying to tell you about it. I did not like how it was written. The amount of emotion that was portrayed in the movie, I expected the pulling of some heartstrings reading this book, and I didn't feel anything, which is surprising for a World War II historical novel. I mostly felt annoyed. And honestly, this is one of the very few times where the movie is definitely better than the book. I think I ended up giving it 2 out of 5 stars, but honestly, it deserves less. That's being generous. Next book I read is A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline Engel. And I read this for my In Real Life book club. We wanted to read it because the movie's coming out. The movie looks fantastic. I think the first time I read this book, I was in elementary school, so even though I knew the basic plot, everything else was kind of hazy, so it was really nice to reread this, and I loved it, gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next book I read in the month of January was Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. I really don't need to say any more. I loved it. It was fantastic. Ripped my heart out. It almost went in the freezer. 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was a buddy read between Jessica and Christina over at Game of Tomes, Samantha Leanne over at Samantha Leanne, Krista over at Books and Jams, Julie over at Pages and Pens, and one of my friends from my In Real Life book club, Outlander, by Diana Gabaldon. This is my third time rereading this book. First time I read it, I think I was in high school. I really loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars if I had rated my books back then. Second time I reread it, it was because the show was coming out and I wanted to kind of get a refresher. Still loved it. Jamie and Claire are OTP for life. I love those two. Third time rereading it with these girls, it was very interesting getting new perspectives because 3 girls hated it so much they DNF'd it. And it was really interesting getting their perspective, and it actually changed my mind on this book because they were talking about things and bringing things up that I kind of overlooked reading it the first 2 times. And that's just one of the great things about reading. You can talk to somebody about a book and have completely different views on it and completely get where they're coming from. And you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. Why did I overlook that? This is terrible. So there are some things that while rereading this book for the 3rd time kind of irked me, but I still love this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So I just knocked 1 star off. I love Jamie and Claire. They are wonderful, and I'm going to continue on rereading the rest of the series because I still have to finish the last 3 books in the series. Next book I read was Meet Your Baker by Ellie Alexander. This was the first book pick for the Cozy Mysteries Book Club hosted by Courtney at Cortagonist and Angela over at Books Are My Heart. And I just felt very meh about this book. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. This had literally everything you would love in a cozy mystery, but it was just very underwhelming. I didn't really connect with any of the characters. I only liked 2 people in this story, and that was the main character's high school sweetheart, Thomas, and then her mother. Those are the 2 characters that I loved. Everyone else I kind of either very much hated or couldn't care less about. Honestly, the best part about this book are the recipes you get in the back. Next book I read in the month of January is Calendar Girl Volume 1 by Audrey Carlin. When this was first released, each of the months were separate. They were released in ebook format, and each of the months were their own ebook. Releasing it in paperback, they put 3 months in each volume. I loved January. January was really great. I really enjoyed the main characters. And February, not so much. I didn't like how the fact she completely forgot about the guy she met in January and supposedly loved. Yeah, it didn't sit really well for me. March was great. I loved March. Seemed to get back on track with the storyline that I wanted to go on. So overall, I think I gave this book 3.5, leaning more towards 4 out of 5 stars. And I am going to continue on with the series. There are 4 volumes out. Each volume you get 3 months in the book. So those are all the physical books I read in the month of January. I listened to 1 audiobook, and that is The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto by Mitch Albom. And I read that for my Facebook book club called the Anti-Gravity Book Club, books that you just can't put down. And that just personified this book. I really enjoy Mitch Albom's writing. The first book I ever read by him was The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, and honestly, his writing is just pure poetry. It's so poignant and so beautiful and so powerful. It really speaks to me on like a spiritual level. It's just so beautiful. You love all the characters. You genuinely care what happens to them, and it pulls on the heartstrings. It makes you feel all of the emotions, and really this book just hit all the stops. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The last thing I read in the month of January was actually fan fiction. It's called The Evolution of Ben by Imogen74, and I read this on fanfiction.net. It takes place after The Last Jedi, and it's about Kylo Ren and Rey. I am a big Reylo shipper. I will ship them until the end of time, or at least until episode 9 comes out and we know what's up. So that's it. That's all I read in the month of January. I feel like I had a really great reading month. Comment below and tell me if you've read any of these books or the books you really enjoyed in the month of January. Don't forget to like my video if you did. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You can follow me on all the social media platforms. The links will be in the description box below. I'll see you next time, avid readers.